Okay. Okay. I don't even feel natural doing an intro just because I feel so comfortable in my bed right now. But this might be somebody's first time seeing me on my channel, so hello, I'm Maya, and welcome back to my channel. And today's video is going to be definitely different. And I always start videos out like this because they are just really different. And I don't know of any other people who are talking about this like level of deep kind of stuff on YouTube. Maybe like podcasts who upload their stuff on YouTube, but like I can't think of anyone. So I posted a poll today on my Instagram that said, can't decide between a mental health topics video, like the stuff I talk about my Instagram captions. If you guys follow me on Instagram, basically anytime I post a picture, the caption is just like super deep. Like I always share like the stuff that I'm learning from podcasts. I share personal stuff about my life. Just like stuff that like, I just feel like it's starting to get talked about because mental health has become a popular topic, but like getting down like to the nitty gritty, like childhood traumas, what triggers like your patterns in your relationships, like why you pick the same people over and over again, like patterns, like I said, and just different topics like that. So I said it was a poll, 73% basically said talk about something like that. So it's just harder to verbalize because I'm a writer. But what I did was I went and just screenshotted a couple of my captions to just build off of, honestly. And I found this caption of mine from the summer. I'm pretty sure this is from the summer. And it said, continuously cultivating my ability to remove myself farther away from the masses' way of living. Every time I feel like I'm there at my highest self, some other new layer comes falling off and I feel even more free. It's one thing to learn to live this way, and I'm filled all the time, overflowing with joy to the point that I literally cry or have to scream or dance just to get the energy out. I can remember a time where my energy was toxic and dark. So getting to here was part one. Communicating and teaching it is part two. The greatest challenge of my life. I love it. A couple of major things that I've learned this year is that I had to take a look at my I lost my spot. Okay, a couple of major things that I learned this year. I had to take a look at my childhood and learn what triggered my negative patterns in my relationships with other humans. Learning to get everything I needed from myself emotionally so that I could love all without expectations. Getting to my true self faster and faster. Ridding myself of pettiness and hate completely. That may be impossible, but maybe not. And so this is just to name a few huge things that have changed my way of life and thinking and therefore the future. I love you guys. Comment below what area of topic you would like, to use some self-growth in. So, yes. I'm going to basically build off that because that is a mouthful, and some of you guys who have never even had this type of conversations before are probably thinking like, oh, okay, like, that would be nice. And let me just say, I have been actively doing soul work on myself for like 4 years now. Things got like really deep, really down to the nitty gritty, like learning all this childhood trauma stuff and all that stuff that you pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for, like with a therapist or whatever. This is all stuff that I've learned since January. So, and honestly, I feel like this energy has been manifested too because long before I started learning about this stuff, I had goals written down. I think I screenshotted it too. Hopefully I did. I don't think I did. Well, in my 700 somewhere, I had goals written down about how I am full and how I'm emotionally stable and like different things like that. So I feel like it manifested. But anyways, so, I feel like learning to get everything I needed from myself emotionally so I could love all without expectations could really wrap up a lot of what has been the most freeing for me, because I think what causes most of us pain is either, you know, whatever's going on within ourselves or whatever's going on within us and other people. So the really cool thing is though, like once you heal yourself it almost like heals everything with everyone else, because in the way I think, I mean, we're all connected, we're all one. So once you do learn to give yourself whatever it is you need to operate, I don't want to say alone because that almost sounds like whatever, but to operate in your being, in yourself, then you don't look to people, you don't look to people or things or anything to fill any type of void, whether that's a happiness void or a loneliness void or what else? A confidence or comfort void, validation void. So people are looking to others, whether it's your family or a relationship. A lot of times we're looking to other people to fill those voids for us. Like, I'll be happy once I do this, or I'll be happy once this happens, or once I'm with this person. And the biggest key to life that I've learned is to get that from yourself. And so, I don't know, kind of to backtrack a little bit, I think what I learned first was grace, because you got to deal with your childhood and your family stuff first. And what I mean by that is we're all shaped, our personalities and the way we communicate with other human beings is shaped by the way we are raised. And because you think about it, when you first come into the world, you're like a little alien, and you learn from everything around you. You learn how to communicate with other people because of your surroundings and all of that stuff. So with me personally, and this is why this video has been hard to make, because in order for some of this stuff to make sense, oops, sorry baby, my little puppy sleep right here. In order for some of this stuff to make sense, I'm gonna have to use my own story and put myself out there and put my, you know, almost my family out there too. And so that's a really vulnerable thing for me to do, but this isn't dragging anyone because it is coming from a place of love and understanding. So it's not like I'm trying to make this sound like a pity story or anything like that, but I had to learn to have grace, and here's where it comes from. So the way that, so like I said, the way we were raised, it shapes how we communicate with other people. So for me personally, like, and let me just say this again, I have amazing parents and everything like that, and we all do. But I lived with my dad and I lived with my stepmom, and my dad worked a lot because he wanted to provide for his family, which is like every father should be to do that. But he worked a lot, so I didn't really see him that much. And my dad's not like a big talker, big communicator, so opening up was not a thing. Talking about feelings was not a thing, or like our family just wasn't that close. Conversations were not deep. Like, I didn't talk to anybody about my feelings. I never told anybody I was depressed. I never told anybody I was contemplating suicide or anything like that. So, because it just wasn't a conversation that would come up. And so me trying to communicate with my dad, like, oftentimes I was just super shy, or like would shut down. Like, I would write, versus trying to talk to him in person, I would slide him a note under his door or send him a text, like a short text or something like that. Like, that was the level of communication that we had. And that's just probably I'm assuming that was the level of communication that he had with his parents. Like, I want to think back to my grandparents. Like, I have a very hard time believing that there were any deep conversations about feelings or anything like that ever happening at that time period. Just that entire generation. So, like, this is like a generational thing. And so that was the way I kind of, like, you know, like, so feeling that way and having that be the example of communication, like, it kind of, well, at 100% contributed to the fact that when I was an adult, communicating with other men would be like, I would feel like I was bugging them, or I wouldn't want to reach out, or I felt unworthy, or I felt like they didn't want to talk to me. So that pattern, that's what felt normal to me. So I attracted and I pursued guys who made me feel that way. because that's how, in my brain and my wiring, communicating with a man would be like, because that's the way it was with my father. So knowing that and becoming aware of that, I was able to look back on my relationships and notice that even if I was dating a guy who was nice, like Nick, for example, if you guys know Nick, even if I was in a relationship with a good guy, I would morph it into basically what I felt like was normal, which was toxic. So, and the whole grace thing plays a part, because it's like I became aware of that pattern, but I also, and without it being like petty or sad, I realized that the reason why the communication was that way, not because my dad didn't love me, or it's just because that was his capacity to do that. So when you're able to see it from that perspective, I was able to look back on my childhood self and say, like, hey, like, guess what? Your dad actually loves you a lot. This is just his capacity to communicate it or to show it to you, and it's not his fault, and that doesn't mean that love isn't there. This is just his capacity to communicate that. And I think that we all have like a lot of love inside of us. We just have a hard time communicating it, because a lot of times it isn't communicated correctly to us. So that healed such a huge part of me that I was able to start to work on myself coming up from that. So having that grace with myself, then having that grace with my dad, then it came down to having that grace with other people, and realizing that no matter how my friends treat me, no matter how any other or a guy treats me that I just meet, or a stranger, or a sister, or anybody, it doesn't matter how anybody treats me, I can have grace knowing that however they communicate to me or however they treat me is just their capacity to do so, or it's just the way that they know how to do so. And unless somebody is aware of their patterns, or aware of their traumas, or aware of the things that cause them to behave a certain way, they can't be held responsible, or they can't be at fault, because they don't know. And it's not your job to teach them or shove it down their face, but it is your job, if you know now how to control your patterns and have grace, it's your job now to have grace towards them and love them regardless. So yeah, I feel like that came out really beautifully, honestly. I feel like that really came out beautifully. So yeah, I feel like I kind of just went down a rabbit hole, and it all started with like learning how to get everything from yourself, but I think that is just a really beginner dive. Wait, did we get to a full circle moment there? I don't even know. Getting everything I needed for myself emotionally so I could love all without expectations. So yeah, I think I want to hop back on that relationship train for just a little bit longer, just because I think me and Nick's relationship was just such a prime example of what a good example of how a relationship can be redeemed, because me and him had a great relationship, and he's a really great guy, and he's a really great person, and still to this day I stand by that, and I just know that he just is. He's an angel. And I feel that way about myself too, but at the time maybe I didn't. But anyways, long story short, and you guys saw this in my Draw My Life video, we had a great relationship that I ended up morphing into what I fell into my old patterns, and I morphed it into something that was toxic and not healthy because of my patterns, and broke things off, and he moved away. And during that entire time, I had to learn how to operate on my own, and I had to learn what made me happy, and I had to learn what it's like to have healthy relationships with other human beings. And I had to do all of this alone, because I was, you know, in a relationship because I was trying to fill voids. I was trying to, you know, fill the void of like I said, like loneliness. I was feeling a void of comfort because we would split all the, like, we'd split all the bills. Everything was split, and, you know, it was comfortable, and there wasn't really any risk. And yeah, I was counting on him to make me happy, and he was counting on me to make him happy. And when you're just trying to figure out everything within yourself, within your own life, and you're trying to be accountable for your own emotions, how can you be responsible for somebody else's emotions? So just depending on other people to fill these voids for you is just unfair. It's just completely unfair because everyone is trying to figure it out for themselves. So I think that was maybe hopefully a full circle moment, because I feel like I might be rambling now. But I think really, sorry, I'm petting my dog. I think I'm going to continue to build on this because I think it's important to talk about these kind of things, and I think it's really important to learn about your patterns and learn about, you know, how you were raised, and learn and observe how you communicated with your parents as a child and how you communicate with other people as an adult, and see how it correlates, and you know, learn to have grace and learn to have understanding. More grace, more understanding is all. More love, grace, and understanding is what it always boils down to, and just letting go of your expectations of other people, because you can't expect and want everyone to act a certain way so that you can have a certain emotion, because that's just putting your emotions in somebody else's hands, and your emotions are your responsibility to understand and to observe and to learn from and to grow from. So, you know, I think the big point is just like, you know, we don't, you know, let's stop looking to other people for happiness. Let's stop looking to other people to fill voids. Let's stop looking to other people to act a certain way so that we can be happy, because we have to learn how to make ourselves happy so that we can just have love and understanding, period, for other people, and not expect them to be something that they, you know, might not be yet or might not ever be. So yeah, I think that was a full circle moment. I'm really happy that I got this out, and thank you guys for being understanding and loving me and listening and watching this video. Give it a thumbs up because it's gonna be more, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.